I thought it was appropriate to do a little drama follow-up and update to a few stories I've covered over the last few days now that they've begun to settle down a bit and the smoke has started to clear. So this will be the little after credits scene to a movie to give you closure. The first one being the clown YouTuber that violated the Geneva Convention of the Internet and committed the unforgivable war crime of abusing YouTube's copyright takedown system and strike system in order to bully creators that were making fun of him. Now, normally I'd call someone like this a mustache-twirling evil supervillain, but that just doesn't apply here because I'm pretty sure this guy couldn't grow a single fucking molecule of facial hair if he was given 1,000 years in the wilderness surviving off nothing but bear liver. He's just not in his DNA. His name is Brent Rivera, he's a massive channel. Unfortunately, he was born with glass bones and paper skin, so when people started making fun of him, those words cut deeper than Excalibur ever could. So he turned to his team and looked for a solution, and what they suggested was the nuclear option of filing takedown requests and copyright claims on people that were being mean to him, that were kicking sand in his face on YouTube and ruining his reputation at the middle school lunch tables. Now, this isn't one of those, like, silly, trivial, oops-a-daisy moments that people just forgive and forget as if it never mattered. This is a very well-understood, severe thing that can legitimately ruin someone's career based on nothing other than hurt feelings. It's also illegal what Brent Rivera did, which is knowingly filing bogus takedown requests and copyright claims. That's not exactly allowed. So he used this option against some people that were making videos that weren't positive about him, and one of the most vocal victims was a channel named Dumpy. Dumpy fought back very hard against what had happened because his channel was at risk of being taken away from him because he had hurt this asshole's feelings. Now, the situation was YouTube actually sided with Dumpy and they weren't going to take down the videos, but they did end up taking down one piece of content, which is still alarming, and the future of his channel was, of course, in a pretty scary spot, not knowing what Brent Rivera would do next, like would he double down on it and try and go even harder, so he was rightfully upset and concerned. And now it's been 2 days since then, and Dumpy has posted a follow-up video where he went over the whole situation and actually showed a DM that Brent Rivera sent to him, which claims that he will be releasing all of the copyright notices on his channel, and then even says that he applauds him for grinding and putting in the work to make a career on YouTube. It's something that a lot of people are scared to do, but you have proven otherwise. I wish you all the success on YouTube and your career, bro. Hope he can resolve this. He also says that he won't be taking down any of his future videos if he makes them, and I hope that extends to everyone who has made videos about you, Brent, not just Dumpy being the biggest one. That should be a no-brainer that people are allowed to criticize you and make videos talking about your content without fear of you coming in and trying to snatch their entire fucking channel away because your feelings got hurt. So hopefully it's not just Dumpy that you're doing this for. But I do want to mention that second paragraph where he talks about, like, Dumpy's grind and how he's like proud of it, happy to see it, and you know, wishing him nothing but the best in it. To me, that just reads very insincere and phony. That seems like very corporate PR speak because his whole grind and everything you had a huge issue with because it was at your expense. So why are you going to pretend like you actually really appreciate it and admire it? Like, just be honest. Like, it just doesn't seem honest at all. There's no reason to put up a facade. You can just be like, bro, your videos fucking hurt my feelings, I overreacted, yeah, is what it is, I'm releasing it now, I see this as a big fuck up, a big blunder. And that'd be a lot more respectable than trying to put on this like, bro, you're a fucking grinder, you're out there nuts to butts and you're doing it big, that shit is so fucking lit, and I know you're gonna keep doing big things, I am so proud of you actually, I'm so fucking proud of you, patting him on the ass, like, that's just, it's not genuine. Like, and there's just no reason to even pretend to be. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Brent really did love it. You know, I couldn't tell you. I just, it doesn't seem that way. But that's not where that ends because when Dumpy posted this video going over all of it, Brent went into the comment section to do a super thanks. And this is probably a feature none of you know about. I don't have it turned on for my channel, but it is something that exists on the platform where you can just directly donate to a creator in their comment section and it highlights your message. Brent used that feature and donated $400 to Dumpy and said this. In the meantime, while the copyright request is being retracted, here's something to help, smiley face. Again, sorry about that, bro. So he's putting an apology on the back of $400 here. Dumpy did reply to this. He didn't really accept the apology, and then also mentioned that he still has active copyrights against other creators that he's aware of, which, you know, I think Dumpy is well within his right to not accept that apology because, you know, it's you almost took away his entire fucking career because he hurt your feelings. There's not really a whole lot you can do to make Dumpy like you or just like forgive that. It's just a matter of moving on from it. You are doing the right thing, which everyone will appreciate. You are walking back on this bullshit here with these takedown requests. That is good, but I just don't think there's a whole lot you can do to earn anyone's trust back or view you positively. It's something that you'll have to prove over a long period of time if you actually learned anything from this whole situation. He says that him and his team responded too emotionally to it, which he's absolutely right on, but this is an option that should have never been considered in the first place, obviously. So yeah, that's kind of the update here. He is retracting the copyright takedowns and the claims and whatever, so that is great, though his image is still ruined as a result of all of it, but big appreciation for doing the right thing. So that's always good. Now moving on to the next one that I'd like to give an update on. It's my least favorite Twitch streamer. This was a Polish woman who was streaming while driving, and while looking at her phone, because she was distracted driving and just looking at her fucking phone while driving, she ran over someone's dog. It is an absolutely awful video to sit through. It is fucking painful to listen to. It was very, very sad. This absolute imbecile even mentioned that there were a lot of dogs around near the road, and then got a notification on her phone from Twitch chat, so she went down to just fucking stare at Twitch chat for a very long time, and then just blasts one of the dogs. I was under the impression, as most people were, that the animal didn't make it, especially judging by the sounds that it was making, and just the speed that this girl was driving. Like, this was like some Fast and Furious shit. She was like fucking drifting around. I'm exaggerating, but she was going very fast. But apparently, the dog is okay. Pyrocynical made a video on this and actually did a very thorough deep dive, finding some very interesting sources to follow up on what happened, because this took off on Polish social media. Like, it went big in the Polish community. And according to some pretty seemingly reliable sources, the dog is okay. The dog is fine, and it will recover fine, which is miraculous. This dog is made out of pure fucking adamantium. Took a hit from a speeding vehicle and then is walking it off, just rubbing some dirt in it, and is going to be okay, apparently, which is a fantastic thing to hear. That is great news from this awful situation, but it in no way excuses this streamer. I still think she needs to face legal ramifications for what she's done. I have absolutely no sympathy for any distracted driving whatsoever, whether it be drunk driving, texting and driving, fucking reading Twitch chat thoroughly while driving like she's trying to fucking spell check some assignment, just literally staring at chat more than she's looking at the road. I have no forgiveness for that kind of shit. She should absolutely lose her license at the very least, but I am happy to hear, happy to learn that the dog is okay from this incident, assuming all of the information Pyrocynical has put out there is accurate, and it does seem accurate from everything I've seen. So I just wanted to give that follow-up. That's like actually a nice happy ending there. The best ending would be dog is fine, and also the girl gets punished heavily for this whole situation. That'd be optimal, but right now I'll settle for the dog being okay. So yeah, I just wanted to give these two little quick follow-ups to these stories that I recently talked about, since more came about from them. And that's really about it. So yeah. Yeah, so I think the YouTube makeup or beauty community, I'm not sure on the proper nomenclature, is just fucking terrible right now. You can tell just from looking at me that I'm not big into the makeup or beauty world, but I do like to keep my cheeks spread so I can stay updated and filled in on information on YouTube drama, and the makeup and beauty side of all of that never has any shortage of that. Tati Westbrook released another 40-minute video today, which is supposed to be some kind of pseudo-apology and explanation for why she tried to ruin James Charles's life last year. And it's pretty fucking rough. It's like having a hemorrhoid. It's kind of painful. It's pretty boring. Really, the only purpose this video would serve is if you have insomnia and need help falling asleep. It is unnecessarily long. Like, this whole thing could have been summarized in 1 or 2 tweets if she wanted to. I don't really know why it's 40 minutes long. And it's her reading a legal statement that she's prepared. And it's pretty fucking painful. It's like she's reading the terms and conditions when signing up to Spotify. In fact, I wish it was just 40 minutes of Tati reading the terms and conditions when signing up to Spotify. It'd be more genuine and engaging. This has every cliche of a YouTuber apology, a lot of fake crying, and a lot of passing the blame and deflecting. She keeps talking about how terrible Shane and Jeffrey were for this whole thing and that it's really just kind of mainly their fault and she was just an innocent victim of their manipulation. But really the whole video just feels pretty manipulative from her here as well. I'll show you an excerpt, a couple excerpts from it just so you get an idea of what the entire 40 minutes is like.
I promised my dad I wasn't gonna cry. I've been trying to feel... Can't do this. I've been trying to feel strong enough to do this video because I want to feel strong. I never said that James Charles was a danger to society. My video was not made with any malice.
But you did. That was the whole purpose of your video last year, was painting James Charles as a menace to society and some kind of evil supervillain. You saying you didn't post that video with malice is like me saying 5'6" isn't short for a man. It's just a lie. It's a lie I'm telling myself, and I've convinced myself. I know I'm short, Tati. You don't need to rub it in. This whole video is just useless. It's been nearly a full year since you soaked up roughly 5 million subscribers off your video lying about James Charles. Why are you coming forward with this now? What the fuck is the point? Handle it privately. It is a matter that should have been handled privately. But for some reason, there's so many huge egos in this beauty and makeup community where they have to feel like everyone loves them and they present themselves as this perfect person, this benevolent ruler of all things beauty related. So she felt compelled to make this video to try and put herself in the best light. Like, hey, look at me taking responsibility for this thing that happened a long time ago. Look at how good of a person I am.
I did not publicly air any of the horrific accusations that were being made behind the scenes. While I was definitely upset that he had accepted a sponsorship from the biggest rival to my brand, Halo Beauty, I did not make my video because of vitamins. I made it as a result of all of the poisonous lies that were fed to me by Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star.
Yeah, this is what I think the actual purpose of this video is, just to deflect blame off of herself and place it onto Shane and Jeffree. I didn't want to make that video about James Charles. I was manipulated into it by Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star. They were the puppet masters, and I was simply the marionette dancing for them. They fed me these poisonous lies, and I had no choice but to make this video lying about James Charles of my own free will, and post it of my own free will. It's just silly. Tati is nearly 40 years old, and she knows what she's doing. She knew what she was doing with the James Charles situation, and I really think the only reason she's made this video breaking her silence about all of it is because right now Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star are getting absolutely annihilated, just straight fucking blasted for a ton of terrible, awful things they've done in their past, and Tati wanted to dogpile on top of it to score some subscribers off of the drama and present herself as the good person in the situation. How she was innocent in the James Charles case because she was getting fed lies by these two people who everyone hates right now. But that excuse doesn't really work because the thing you were initially mad about in your first video was the fact James Charles took a different vitamin sponsor than your company or whatever the fuck you sell, vitamin C cream to rub on the rim of your asshole to improve hearing. I don't know what the fuck your businesses do. But you were mad because he didn't go with your business and instead looked elsewhere, so you felt personally attacked, and wasn't that like one of the main points you made? That has nothing to do with any lies Shane and Jeffree may have fed you. That was entirely your decision to make that like the focal point of the last video on why you were so mad at him. At least I think. It is so hard to even know what the fuck the drama is with Tati. Watching her 40-minute videos here is like having a mediocre dream where you wake up and can only remember bits and pieces of it. By the time you finish one of these Tati videos, you forget you even watched the video. It's like you got hit by a Men in Black neuralizer and just forgot the whole thing. It is so fucking boring, and she's terrible at even making her points clear on what she's trying to say or what is even actually going on. It just seems all so vague. And in this video, she doesn't take really any responsibility. She says I'm sorry multiple times, but none of it even feels real because it's sandwiched in between. But remember, Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star are bad, and they made me do these bad things. And her having these fake crying episodes in the apology and saying things like, I'm sorry, Dad, I promised you I wouldn't cry. I promised my dad I wouldn't cry? What the fuck? You called your dad on the phone? Hey, Dad, you remember that time that I tried to ruin the life of a young man? Yeah, well, I'm finally going to apologize for that, kind of, and look, I'm going to do my best not to cry. I'm gonna try and be strong, alright? For most people, Tatty, saying I'm sorry isn't a feat of strength and bravery. It's common courtesy as a fucking human being to take responsibility for something. I've never understood the perspective where people pat someone on the back for saying I'm sorry or that they're wrong. I think that should just be human nature. When you are wrong about something, you say, look, I fucked up, and this was wrong. Okay, good, that should be what's expected. You can say, thank you, hey, thanks, you know, I'm glad you took some responsibility. But to make it feel like it's some kind of Herculean task to say you're sorry is just such a bad look. The makeup community is just so full of narcissists. Tatty starts this video like, hey, I know you guys haven't seen me in a little while, even though it's only been like a month and a half. Hey, I know you guys have missed me so much because I'm so great. And look, I'm really sorry you haven't seen as much of me as you want to see of me, and you deserve to see more of me. And then she gets into the video. It's just, I just don't get it. I don't understand why people in the makeup and beauty community follow people like this that clearly just don't even care about them and just view them as a number or a sale on their makeup. And even in this fucking apology video, I think she shouts out her own brands at least like 10 or 12 times. I honestly felt like I was just watching a long-winded infomercial or some kind of meta commercial to sell her products or something. It just doesn't sit right with me. If you're gonna apologize for something and you need to mention a brand, just say my company. Why do you have to shout out the fucking brand and what you do and what your mission is? I'm not trying to read the about section on your goddamn vitamin website. Just say, look, this is the company, this is what happened, and I'm sorry. But instead she goes into this like fucking almost sales pitch like I'm on Shark Tank about to invest in it or something. It's just, I don't know, I don't get it, man. I don't understand. And I don't know why it has to be 40 minutes every time with her. I guess just to milk as much revenue out of it as possible. Couldn't tell you. Have no idea. But I fucking sat through this fucking thing and it felt like a goddamn crime. I honestly feel like wasting someone's time like this, it should be illegal. 40 minutes worth of nothing. Nothing but deflecting blame and insincerely taking responsibility almost in certain areas. I don't know. Makeup community and the beauty community's got some real bad actors in it. And yeah, that's about it. So yeah. There's a video floating around right now that has to be the worst celebration I have ever seen. Now, something I've said for a while that no one really thinks about is that celebrations can sometimes be dangerous. I remember there was a very famous case where a football player had scored, I think it was the game-winning touchdown, and his team and all of their hype and like excitement dogpiled him like it was a scene out of The Waterboy and ended up like breaking his pelvis. And I think that ended his career. But I also will never forget when I was a kid, I actually watched Bill Gramatica, who was the kicker for the Cardinals at the time, tear his ACL through a very simple celebration after a first quarter field goal. So what happened with Bill Gramatica is he kicked his field goal, he's like, yeah, fuck yeah! And then to celebrate, he did one of these. How wild would that have been if I blew out my ACL doing it? But he gave a little leap, pumped his fist, and upon landing, blew out his ACL, MCL, DVD, VHS, CBS, and BBL, like absolutely annihilated his knee, and his career was never quite the same. But even with these historic celebration blunders, the one I'm about to show you today, I still feel is worse.
5 points go to Shane Byrne, 20 to Alex Lowe's, Josh Brooks on 16, Kirkham 13, Bridewell 11, Keith Farmer on 10, and the rest down to 10th place Josh Waters. Shaky Byrne then the 42nd race win of his British Superbike career, the perfect start as, oh dear, Josh Brooks there giving very unkindly dousing the MCE insurance girls who've sensibly got their crash helmets. Oh dear me, they haven't got that crash helmet under there, Shaky, thank you very much. Alex Lowe's in 2nd place there, Samsung Honda, very, very sensibly realising with about 4 laps to go that Shaky had the legs on him. And he would just...
You ever get so excited you just sexually assault someone? Like, I'm pretty sure that would be classified as sexual assault, right? Like, you can't just start putting things up people's orifices without their consent, no matter what the context is. Like, this is clearly not in the script. He, like, goes under her skirt and then blasts the champagne shower there like some kind of geyser, like a volcanic eruption. That's just downright diabolical, and I know it was probably painful, too. Now, I've never butt-chugged, but I have to imagine getting alcohol forcibly shot up your asshole is going to hurt. And contrary to popular belief, I don't have a vagina, but if I did, I would imagine that would be equally as painful having all of that shot there, too. It would sting and burn. Like, if I was getting alcohol being blasted up my bussy, I'm screaming. Like, let's say Moist Esports wins the Apex World Championship this year, and Matt decides to celebrate by hitting me with like the 1,000 years of pain, I'm pressing charges. Now real quick, I want to jump in here and give all of you watching something to celebrate. Plague Seeker issue 1 is here. My newest comic book series. It's 80 pages of just the most beautiful, most over-the-top, fucking violent, raw action you'll ever see in a comic book. I swear to God. As I mentioned with Plague Seeker, I was heavily inspired by Berserk for this one. And every single page of this is just a masterpiece. The artist, Vampire absolutely knocked it out of the park. Like, no matter where you go in here, it's like a beautiful piece that you'd want to hang on your wall. So, issue 1 is here. You can find it at badegg.co. It's written by myself and Jackson, and the entire team put together something super special here. The artist is Vampire, extremely talented. The lettering is done by Dave Sharp. So yeah, definitely go pick up a copy at Plague Seeker. There'll be a link to it in the description, badegg.co. Also, it's more than just action, by the way. It's just, I think the action in issue 1 goes so fucking hog wild, like Insano style, that I can't help but mention it. Now, admittedly, I'm not super familiar with Superbike and the traditions when it comes to celebrations, but I still feel terrible for these podium girls here, because for some reason, all 3 of the dudes on stage there are showering just them in the champagne, and it doesn't seem like they like it, and even the announcer was like, oh my, that is very unkind. To the first guy who's just behind him super soaking them with the champagne, he's just sitting there using them like target practice for it. For some reason. Like, is that normal? Is that what they're there for? Just to be like a sponge for champagne? That sucks. But even if that is the role that they agreed to, they clearly did not agree to having someone go underneath and like violate them with champagne. That is very much crossing a line. That is not part of their contract, I imagine. The whole celebration is just weird from all 3 of them. So obviously the main guy who goes under her skirt, his name is Shane Byrne, or Shaky as they call him. But the other 2 guys as well, I don't really understand it. All of them targeted the 2 podium girls, when in every other celebration for every other sport, usually the champagne shower is towards the crowd, or like each other, or like their team. Not just like the 2 girls standing there at the podium. It just feels weird, but for some reason, all 3 of the dudes just come up and start, like, blasting them with champagne like they had a grudge against them. It was like a hazing ritual or something. They were, like fucking bullying them with the champagne. Maybe they were, you know, bad blood between them or something, but it just seemed, like, brutal. Like, it seemed like they had, like, a bone to pick with them. Now, after this started to make the rounds in 2021, Shaky did come forward to issue an apology in regards to the situation.
I'm aware of a video that's currently circulating on social media of myself in 2013 where I inappropriately sprayed a promotional lady with champagne on the podium. I'd like to say I deeply regret what I did that day and I'm truly sorry. I'd like to apologise not just to the lady but to the other women on the podium that day, to all of my fans and to anybody else that's been offended by my actions. I can only apologise and I'm truly sorry.
Super short, super simple, just saying that he deeply regrets what he did, he apologizes for it, says sorry to all those affected, and is trying to close the book on all of it. I still can't quite wrap my head around how this celebration even crossed his mind as appropriate or some kind of good idea. Like, I understand getting lost in, like, excitement, right? Like, I've celebrated some super important achievements in my life, like checkmating XQC in 6 moves and then going on to win the entire chess tournament, which is where the entire throbbing celebration from me came from. But at no point was I ever so excited that all common sense and reasoning just went out the window. I understand celebrations that lead to injury far more than I understand this celebration that led to an enema. Like, Bill Grammatica celebrating like, yeah, and then blowing out his ACL, I get, like, you're fucking pumped, you jump and you hurt yourself. Unlucky. Or another football player, I remember, got like a sack, and then he jumped up in the air and stomped both feet down, and he like broke his leg doing it. Those I get. Like, you're excited, you let out a bunch of steam all at once, and then you end up just breaking your body from it. But this, he was so excited that he just goes to like fucking Neanderthal brain. He's like, whoa! And then like shoots champagne up her butthole. That shit just doesn't make any sense at all. But yeah, I saw this today and I just had to talk about it a little bit. That it has to be the worst celebration I've ever seen. Again, I feel horrible for the 2 podium ladies during this because this shit is cruel. This looks awful. Now, I do want to just mention again, Plague Seeker issue 1 has been a passion project for about 2 years now, so to see issue 1 finally be out there, I'm super excited for all of you to get your hands on it and get to read it. I'm also going to go ahead and drop the animation we had made for the initial release for issue 0, because I think that this animation just goes so fucking hard, and it also just sets the stage for what Plague Seeker is about, for any of you that are curious.
1,000 years ago, humankind ruled the earth. Even in their failings, they prospered across the planet. But that would all change in the blink of an eye. We called it the Calamity. Those who persevered beyond the impact never truly survived. The mutations made them something more than human. It drove them mad. Those closest to the Calamity were transformed completely. Known as plagues, their overwhelming power leaves all helpless as they seek to dominate our world. The worst of them were born where nothing had the right to survive. Terrifying beings known to us as the Great Plagues. 8 in total spread themselves across the planet, each ruling their own territory. Without mercy, they shaped our world. And yet there was one that not a soul dare speak of. Born at the very center of the impact. A plague far different than all the others. He bore the strongest curse of them all. An insatiable hunger to devour the other 8. The Plague Seeker.
We were overdue for a little internet wackiness, and you were looking a little malnourished, so allow me to feed you some vitamin D. Drama. If I asked you to tell me the most iconic YouTube video you can think of, I imagine a lot of you would default to some of the timeless classics like Numa Numa, maybe Harlem Shake, but I do think there's a not small number of people that will immediately go to something a little more recent. The now infamous Colleen Ballinger ukulele apology video. Now I know what you're thinking, Charles Dagnabbit, that was 2 months ago, that's ancient history, that milk has spoiled, why are we talking about it now? Well, it's because JoJo Siwa just came out to defend her against everything that's happened and calls it a lie.
Speaking of friends, are you, and if I'm wrong, are you friends with Colleen Ballinger still?
Yeah,
What do you say about that?
I've known Colleen since I was 12.
Now, I recognize on the internet things move faster than me on a basketball court. It's always going a million miles per hour, so there's a good chance a lot of you forgot why Colleen Ballinger even got in trouble in the first place. So I'll give you a brief refresher. Colleen Ballinger is the woman behind the Miranda Sings brand, and recently, 2 months ago, it came to light that she had a history of talking and acting inappropriately with underage fans, even sending some extremely disturbing and inappropriate videos to children in her audience, and a lot of other very awful allegations and accusations against her and the way she acts around children. So for JoJo Siwa to come on here and immediately start by saying that she's known Colleen since she was 12, that to me is just another big red flag. Like, this is the worst possible way of starting your defense of someone if you're trying to prove they're innocent and everything was a lie. She just openly admits that when she was 12 years old, she was friends with an adult woman. When JoJo Siwa was 12, Colleen would have still been an adult. That is very weird. The creep sirens should be blaring. An adult influencer befriending children in their audience is not normal, healthy, or a good thing. Especially because Colleen, as she herself admits, had no boundaries, so would share everything with these children that she considered friends, such as sexual shit. It was very, very not good. And here's JoJo just confirming that, hey, I was one of those 12-year-olds that was friends with this adult woman.
I would imagine if you're friends with her, you kind of met her when you were young.
I was 12 when I met her.
And
she's always been nothing but kind to me. Her family, nothing but kind to me. The internet can take a lie and run so far with it, so far that it's to the point where you just can't do anything about it.
What lie? Can you point it out and set the record straight? What fib has Hulkmania run wild with? Because in this statement, in this exact same sentence here, you just confirmed one of the big accusations about the adult woman, Colleen Ballinger, befriending children. And there's a bunch of videos and messages that have all come out with things she would send to these children, and it's not good. Are those the lies? Is that all fake? Just deep fakes and all of the messages and victims aren't real? They're paid actors pretending? I would love to know what it is here. Now, full disclosure, I'm not super familiar with JoJo Siwa. It's a name I've heard a lot. I know she's a huge child celebrity. So if I may pose a thought experiment here, do you think it's possible that Colleen Ballinger was extremely nice to you and her family extremely nice to you, JoJo, because you were already a celebrity? So she knew if she was creepy and weird and saying sexual things to you, that could be a big deal because you had an audience and a platform that could call to light these awful actions. So perhaps she gave you special treatment because if she did do all of the degenerate shit she was doing with the other children she befriended, there was a chance that you could cause a lot of problems for her by revealing it publicly. But I could be totally off my rocker here, lost my marbles. At the end of the day, it's just a theory, a game theory. Just something to marinate up here in the old noodle to think on. But regardless, an adult influencer befriending a child fan is weird. Full stop. That is still just a weird thing to do.
And I've had that happen to me. And I know Colleen very, very, very well. And I think the work that Colleen has done for the internet is incredible. I think her creativity is incredible. Miranda Sings is a character, is a comedian.
Comedian is a word we're using very loosey-goosey here, but even still, there's not exactly anything side-splitting, gut-busting hilarious about an adult sending sexual videos and messages to kids in a group chat. That's not exactly a top 10 ha-ha laughs moment. That's just fucking gross. So you can't really just excuse it at all as she's playing a character, just being a comedian. It doesn't really work here. And once again, you should not know Colleen Ballinger very, very well. You were a child. You were 12 years old. You should not know intricate details about this adult influencer's life who is a stranger to you. You're not related or anything. You shouldn't have been friends to begin with. That in and of itself, I believe, is a problem.
And I think that it's very hard to be a character where people are also looking at you as you're a real human behind that character. And I think being a comedian is very hard because you were able to do things years ago that were okay, and now that we've grown and we've matured, we've realized that they're not okay. You know what I mean?
In and of itself, that statement's not entirely wrong. Of course, things were different 15 years ago on the internet. Some of the videos then have not aged well and would be very differently in terms of their perception today. But I don't recall there ever being a time in the internet's history where it was looked at in a positive light with an adult sending sexual shit to children. That's never really been something that's been written off as just comedy. So this is kind of a nothing statement here, and by no means does this defend her at all or prove her innocence. You said that the internet ran with a lie, But now, instead of trying to prove that it's a lie, you're just saying, things were different a while ago, and now that we've matured, things aren't okay like that anymore. It's like, well, what the fuck are you actually even trying to say with this? I don't think JoJo herself knows. She just doesn't want to accept that someone that she was close with was actually just not a good person, I think.
But you, as somebody who's been in the public eye for a long time,
Yes.
Do you think that it is appropriate to communicate openly with everybody that reaches out to you?
No, I don't think that communicating with fans is, you got to be careful to not,
and that's what I'm saying,
to
like,
not blur a friend-fan line. It's very tough.
Howie seems to get it, and it doesn't seem like he wants to ruffle any feathers here, so he's being as light with this as possible, tiptoeing around it a bit, but he recognizes that perhaps we should be calling attention to the obvious elephant in the room, that adults in a position like Colleen Ballinger was probably shouldn't be openly communicating with child fans like this. And I also want to point out that Howie Mandel, anytime I think about him in the modern age, I immediately just think back to that TikTok video he posted like a year ago, where he had a picture of this dude whose entire asshole fell out of his anus, and Howie was in the corner with a selfie saying, "Hey guys, this just happened to my buddy Eric. Do any of you know if this is COVID related? Is this a symptom? Let me know in the comments." Dude just dropped a fresh 2022 Goatsy, a brand new prolapse out of nowhere, and it had me giggling. So anytime I see him, I immediately just, in my mind's eye, picture that picture with Howie's face next to it. I don't know if that's how his show is, like if he has that kind of content on his show. I imagine not, because I don't think JoJo Siwa would agree to be on like an explicit show like that, since she is a like child star and makes exclusively family-friendly content, I believe. So I don't think that's how his show goes, but I just want to point out, like, if it is, what a crazy collaboration for JoJo Siwa to go on that kind of show. That'd be like fucking Hellraiser collabing with Fortnite for a skin.
And I'm just saying this as a parent again. You said you started communicating with her when you were 12.
Yes.
Is it, you want to be a
But you
parent?
guys were in the same industry.
So we were
too.
in the
like,
same-
You guys were making videos and stuff together,
So
right?
we actually met.
I'm just going to summarize the story JoJo tells here. It's about how her and Colleen Ballinger met. Basically, when Dance Moms was airing, which JoJo was a star of, I suppose, they didn't get invited to a party. Colleen Ballinger caught wind of it, saw that they were upset that they weren't invited, tried to make it up to them, and they all got dinner.
Colleen was telling me that night about YouTube and how her whole family did it and how it was awesome and she vlogs her life. And that night is when I went home and I made my YouTube channel and decided that that was going to be my career, essentially. And
That's a wonderful, sweet, appropriate story.
yes.
I think Howie's right. This story isn't alarming. They got dinner. It wasn't just Colleen and JoJo, it was others as well. And Colleen was talking about YouTube as a platform and ended up inspiring JoJo Siwa to start her own YouTube channel. That's not concerning. What is concerning is staying in constant communication with this adult that allegedly had no boundaries with the children that she would frequently communicate with. That's not normal, and that's not okay.
How is it for you now, being her friend and reading some of what we read? Do you think it's all a lie? Do you think it's like, have you talked to her?
There have been a lot of people on the internet who have gotten hit with this cancellation. And a lot of them I know, some of them I don't know.
Only like 3 minutes ago, you did point blank say, lie. You did drop the hard L on that one. You did say lie. But now you're kind of backpedaling it a little bit here, so it's not as aggressive. She's now going through the cancel culture spiel, and the way she talks about it makes it sound like it's some type of infection, like a virus. We've seen this type of cancellation a million times in the lab. It's a particularly insidious one, unfortunate for Colleen Ballinger. It's just a very odd thing for JoJo to say, because it feels like she's almost blaming the people that came forward with all of this evidence about years and years of inappropriate behavior.
And I look at it and I see that this is a sensitive subject. Somebody who is affected by any sort of anything having to do with adults, and I mean, for real grooming it's a very sensitive thing.
You must have really young people reaching out to you now.
Howie threw her a life raft right there. He put the water wingies on her because she was drowning, trying to somehow spin some kind of explanation for why she thinks this is all a bunch of baloney. Like, she's calling dirty barnacles on this whole thing. She said that, you know, the internet ran with a lie, and she's saying cancel culture and all of that, but she's not really expanding on that in any meaningful way. It just feels like she had this image of Colleen because they were close, apparently, and she's refusing to hear from victims that came forward with their own experiences with Colleen that are very different from the one she experienced. So she's writing it all off as being some kind of attack, some unjust, malicious attack from bad actors.
She's cool, you know? And I think the problem is the internet was able to capitalize off of her cancellation, and they still are, and they still are continuing to, and it's not okay because a lot of it is based off of lies, and it is
a scary place when you put yourself. It was one thing, you know, I came to television, which is
I wish she would explain what the lies are then, because if she has evidence that debunks all of this, it'd be extremely invaluable, and I'm sure Colleen would really appreciate it because she's not doing anything to defend herself. That ukulele apology video offered nothing. She was too focused on delivering a Billboard topping track, a fucking Grammy award-winning toxic gossip train jingle that would distract people, I guess. Like, they'd be too focused on the heater of a song that she delivers that they'll forget all about the accusations and behavior and all of that. Like, she didn't actually defend herself at any point so far. When, if she's innocent, if all of these things truly are lies like you say they are, she should want to. There is a lot of evidence. There are videos that she sent. And unless that's deepfaked, that's a very hard thing to prove is wrong or justified in any way. So the fact that JoJo's defending her so adamantly and claiming it's all lies and it's just the internet capitalizing off her cancellation is pretty fucking wild. To try and defend the indefensible it's a Herculean task. But she's going for it. Again, if all of it is made up, then eventually, hopefully the truth comes out, I suppose, because right now, it really does seem like everything Colleen has been accused of has substantial evidence behind the claims, whereas there is nothing to the contrary that proves that, no, all of this isn't real and we shouldn't trust it. So, I mean, I'm of course going to keep my finger on the pulse here and wait and see if any new developments in this whole situation continues going forward. But yeah, anyway, just wanted to talk about this because I found it to be a pretty surprising segment here. That's about it. See ya. If there was a YouTube rewind this year, I imagine the bulk of the content would be apology videos. There have been more apology videos in 2023 than there have been apologies throughout the last 100 years of our species combined. And just like my age, that number only keeps going up. It's crazy just how common of an occurrence this is. And today we're going to look at a pretty rare one. This is the shiny Pokemon of apology videos. This one's not from a YouTuber or an internet content creator. It comes from two celebrities that I know all of you have seen before. Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis.
We are aware of the pain that has been caused by the character letters that we wrote on behalf of Danny Masterson.
So what are they saying I'm sorry for? What whoops-a-daisy blunder did they make? And I'm sorry to say this, sports fans, because it's not some kind of silly mistake. It's not like they gave like a hot take on anime and got dogpiled on Twitter for it or anything. What they did is actually pretty deplorable. They, as well as many others, were requested to write letters to a judge in regards to the Danny Masterson rape case. I actually didn't even know this was going on. I only just learned about this. Danny Masterson of That 70s Show fame, a show that Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis were a part of for a very long time, has just been sentenced to 30 years to life in prison for 2 out of the 3 counts of rape that he was facing. Danny Masterson was arrested in 2020, and this trial's actually had a lot of developments to it that I was just completely unaware of, but it's concluded now for the most part, and he was found guilty for 2 out of the 3 counts of rape that he was facing. And then it came out that Ashton Kutcher, Mila Kunis, and about 50 other people wrote letters to the judge of the sexual assault trial to just say nice things about Danny Masterson. I guess the idea was to try and hype him up as like, look at all these positive experiences we had with Danny Masterson. Inside Danny, there are 2 demons, a rapist and an incredible actor with a bright smile that could light up a room. And it's important that we don't overlook that second one. Let's focus on all these great experiences we had with Danny Masterson that we knew. You know, Mr. Hyde was a bad guy, but Dr. Jekyll, he was great. So, like, I guess the idea here was to try and get the judge to be a little bit more lenient or something, like to try and help Danny's case by just saying nice things about the Danny they knew. So an excerpt from Ashton Kutcher's letter says, Danny takes his job seriously. He is kind, courteous, and hardworking. He treated everyone from the grips to the teamsters to the actors to the caterers as equals. As a role model, Danny has consistently been an excellent one. A great role model to rapists, maybe. What the fuck is this? This is just an absolutely evil thing to say about somebody like this. What? How delusional can you be? He took his job seriously. He even said good work to one of the caterers. I'd never seen such a saint on the That 70s Show set. To look at a caterer and actually engage in small talk blew my mind. I'd never seen anyone so sweet. He was truly a benevolent angel. A great role model if you just ignore all of the rape stuff. Like, holy shit. What in the world? What in tarnation? And Mila Kunis called him an amazing friend, confidant, and above all, an outstanding older brother figure. His genuine concern for those around him and his commitment to leading by example make him an outstanding role model and friend. Yucky. Yucky. An older brother figure, and still, she's echoing the same thing, a great role model. He just got convicted of rape, and it's not like this is a case with like a lot of holes in it, and it was like some kind of fishy investigation or something. Like this is a pretty cut and dry case. The only reason it took 3 years is because there is a lot of interesting stuff that may or may not have been going on with Scientology being involved. I don't like to even mention that word because that's a very scary thing to even bring up. Mentioning Scientology is like mentioning Voldemort in the real world. But perhaps there were, you know, a few Tom Riddle diary exchanges that led to some shady shit going on throughout this case, at least from what I've read so far. This isn't something where you would see all of the evidence, see the verdict, and start wiggling your finger like, no, justice wasn't served here. Unless, of course, you're part of Danny Masterson's team, who's saying that they got it wrong and they plan to do everything they can to overturn it and all that shit. But, like, as someone who was a friend of him, you should see this and be like, oh, this is fucking revolting. Oh, Jiminy Christmas. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. I was friends with an absolute monster. And then you would not go up to bat for them. Like, you wouldn't start speaking to the great character of Danny Masterson. It's just incomprehensible to me. I couldn't imagine doing that. If my best friend in the world, someone I grew up with, someone I consider a brother, was just arrested and convicted of rape, I would not be singing his praises. I wouldn't be spreading the gospel about what an amazing guy he is, right? I wouldn't write a letter to the judge, even if I was requested to do so by his family, and say something like, listen, you know, I dislike sexual assault as much as the next guy. That's some bad stuff. Rape, boo, don't like it. But he never raped me. So he's not all bad. And also, we used to butt chug brewskis in the bathtub together at the frat house. Like, this is a good guy, and it's just something to consider maybe when you're looking over this and deciding on sentencing. Like, I would not be trying to say anything positive about the person. So obviously, this made a lot of people upset to see them do that. It's craziness. So I'll finally get to the apology video now, but I feel like we needed all of this in order to understand why they're apologizing, what exactly they're apologizing for.
We are aware of the pain that has been caused by the character letters that we wrote on behalf of Danny Masterson.
We support victims. We have done this historically through our work and will continue to do so in the future.
But you also support your friend, even after all of the rape evidence was being put on trial. Like this, I'm very curious now how much they knew about him. Like, did they know all of this? Because they don't seem necessarily surprised, and they seemed more than willing to write these glowing letters that seem like fucking 5-star Yelp reviews of this guy. Like, even with all of this evidence of the sexual abuse, they're still calling him an outstanding role model, an older brother figure. Like, holy shit. I understand they've been friends for 2 decades, so I guess when Danny Masterson's family reached out to request that they write a letter, you know, gushing grannies over how cool Danny Masterson is, they should have said no. They should have just hard rejected that on the spot. Of course, I'm not a lawyer, I haven't passed the bar, but I don't think this is some kind of obligation they had to fulfill here, because there were other people that didn't write letters about Danny Masterson. But let's assume they were forced to. You can still say, I was one of Danny Masterson's best friends, I didn't know this side of him, I didn't know he was an evil person, so I don't feel comfortable saying anything nice about my experience with him. Full stop. Like, that could just be the end of it.
A couple months ago, Danny's family reached out to us and they asked us to write character letters to represent the person that we knew for 25 years so that the judge could take that into full consideration relative to the sentencing.
How rotted and corrupt is the brain of a Hollywood drone? Like a Hollywood fucking clout zombie. I can't even begin to try and process how their noodles work. How can you just say that so nonchalant, like it's not a big deal and not just fucking diabolical? They knowingly wrote these character letters to give the judge a full understanding of the situation to consider when giving his sentencing to Danny Masterson. So they knew that this was going to be used to try and get lighter sentencing for a man who committed heinous crimes. How do you sleep at night like that? Like after doing that? I don't get it. Like, a lot of people wrote letters, of course, it's not just these two, but these two are the most public figures about it. But I imagine they called anyone that ever even crossed Danny Masterson's path, like, hey, it's me, Tim Clifford. I was Danny Masterson's 3rd grade math buddy. We played together on the kickball squad, and he was a superstar. One of the finest kickball players the East Coast had ever seen. Thanks for reading. And the judge would be there, scratching his chin. I didn't consider that he might have been very good at kickball. Maybe we shouldn't be so harsh on him. Like, I understand it's not just these two. Like, everyone wrote these letters, and I guess they all understood that it was supposed to help Danny Masterson maybe get a lighter sentence. I just don't know how you can do that. Like, in good conscience, it makes no sense to me. You shouldn't want a convicted rapist to get a lighter sentence for the crimes.
The letters were not written to question the legitimacy of the judicial system or the validity of the jury's ruling.
They were intended for the judge to read. And not to undermine the testimony of the victims or re-traumatize them in any way. We would never want to do that.
Hey guys, we were just being super evil behind closed doors, and it's a real shame you guys had to see this side of us. We were hoping you weren't going to notice. This was really meant for the judge's eyes only. We don't want to re-traumatize victims. We just want to make sure the person that victimized them gets the lightest sentence possible for the crimes. And I like how they immediately go into an argument no one's making, like, our letters weren't meant to undermine the legitimacy of the claims. I don't think anyone's claiming they were. Your letters are there to serve as a way of trying to help your friend get a less long, less severe sentence for some absolutely evil shit they did. Which is very bad. It's still horrible.
And we're sorry if that has taken place.
Our heart goes out to every single person who's ever been a victim of sexual assault, sexual abuse, or rape.
Man, unfortunately they didn't even do the apology video classic cliche of saying thank you before signing off. You didn't even thank us for watching the apology video? Are you serious? Do you have no manners at all? But yeah, you care so much about the victims of these horrible things, and yet for some reason, a person who was actively engaging in these crimes, you decided to write really nice things about to try and help them. That's really weird. It's hard to believe you now, after all of this. It's just a fucked up situation. Danny Masterson is getting justice, which is the most important thing. But how the fuck could so many people around him willingly just write nice letters about him to try and actively help him in this case? It just doesn't make any sense to me. So yeah, that's really about it. So yeah. It just wouldn't feel right if 2023 didn't conclude with at least one more horrible YouTuber apology video, and luckily, Krampus did not let us down, delivering a nice lump of coal under the tree. This had been a year filled to the brim, the cup runneth over, on bad YouTuber apology videos. I was a naive fool to think that we had seen the last of apology videos for 2023, And how wrong was I? In the fourth quarter here, the last week or so of 2023, we were blessed with one more from James Somerton. He was featured prominently in H-Bomber Guy's newest video on plagiarism. I'm sure all of you have seen this video by now. If you haven't, that is shocking to hear and should probably go check it out. And I'm not going to recap the whole video, but I will give you a brief synopsis of James Somerton's role in it. But basically, James Somerton was pretty much caught with his hand in the cookie jar, plagiarizing his entire online content, fundamentally. It also goes even deeper than the plagiarism. He was accused of multiple other bad things in regards to his content and claims he was making, and a bunch of other variety of things. And in response to that, James went dark. He went off the grid, bought a log cabin in the middle of the woods, grew out a lumberjack's beard, he bought a Hoover from, Breaking Bad, and he disappeared. So he went offline, and then a couple days ago posted a surprise apology video going over all of it, which he deleted a couple hours later when it didn't get the response he was expecting it to. But it's been re-uploaded, and I kind of wanted to cover it a little bit just because it feels right. 2023 had so many of these. We've got to usher in 2024 the right way with an apology video to kick us off getting into the new year. So let's take a peek.
Hi everyone. I'm sorry for taking so long to make this video or to say anything. I'm in the hospital. I've been in the hospital for a little over a week.
Call me John Madden because I'm going to walk you through the play in this playbook here. It's called Emotional Manipulation. It's a timeless classic. There is no reason he should be starting this video with this story here. He uses this technique multiple times throughout the video and doesn't really even address the accusations head on. It's mainly a lot of deflection. But what I want to focus on is just how hard he leans on trying to garner sympathy through this. Now, it's always sad to see someone struggling and going through a hard time and contemplating extremely terrible things with their life. But it's not something that you need to be sharing online in this capacity, and it's also not something most people would be comfortable sharing online, especially in response to things like this, because it comes across as very insincere and disingenuous and kind of like using it as though it makes you immune to criticism because now you've gone through this, if that makes sense. And that's pretty much what his whole audience said too. Even the ones that were trying to rally behind him, hoping for a real explanation, this left a very bad taste in their mouth because it's completely unrelated to what should be being talked about, which is his plagiarism as well as the other things he's been accused of. He doesn't need to be sharing this information with us. This is a very private matter that he should have kept private.
I tried to do something really stupid. I'm really only here now because before I did it, I called my dad to talk to him one more time, and he figured out something was wrong and called paramedics or 911 or...
Once again, there is no reason to be telling this extremely personal story to your audience when this is supposed to be a video addressing all of the accusations against your content. It's just the only reason this is here is so that way people can sympathize with him and feel sorry for what he's been going through. And make no mistake, from what he describes here, it's an extremely horrible experience that I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemy. But it has no place in this video. It just comes across as super fucking tone deaf here. Just talk about, if you want to make an apology video or explain your side of things, then do that. And don't go into the private side of what's been happening behind the scenes since the accusations came out.
They got here, and I woke up in the hospital, and yeah, anyway, I'm not trying to make this a sob story. I'm just trying to explain why I've been so quiet.
You spent the entire first minute and a half making it a sob story, though. That's not an accident, and you could have edited that out. It's here because you wanted it to be here to start with immediately trying to get the waterworks going with people crying over how awful this experience is before you get into what's supposed to be your side and your apology over everything. It's just textbook emotional manipulation trying to make everyone feel bad for you, even though you were the guilty party who got caught, and this is you trying to talk about that, and you still haven't yet, even though we're already kind of deep into the video. Now it is a 34-minute video, so a minute and a half isn't like the bulk of it, but he sprinkles this throughout the entire thing, so you can't really make a good argument that it's only here to try and explain why he took so long to make this video. A, you don't need to explain why you took so long. You really don't. If you really wanted to give an explanation, you could just make it super concise, like, hey, had stuff going on. Or this has been an extremely stressful period of time in my life from all of this, so I've taken some time to process everything, and now I feel comfortable going forward. Like, you didn't need to dive into it like this, and you didn't even need to explain why it took you that long in the first place. And on top of that, he does also still go over these really sad things in his life throughout the whole thing that aren't just there to explain why it took him so long to talk about all of this. So it really does feel like he's trying to emotionally manipulate people with his apology video. But even when he is done going through this story and actually trying to talk about what's been going on, he takes really no responsibility. He does say, "I'm sorry," a lot, but it feels kind of hollow when he starts throwing somebody else under the bus for things and then kind of belittling the whole situation itself, boiling it down to something far simpler than it is. Like, there were a lot of accusations against him, none of which he really defends himself on in any meaningful way whatsoever. It really feels like the main purpose of the video is to make the audience feel bad. Like, make them, like, blame them, basically, for what he's going through, as opposed to taking that responsibility for fucking up with plagiarizing his whole career.
Really, really sorry. Really, really sorry. For this stuff in the videos, not crediting people, and I lost my best friend because of this. Nick and I had been best friends since...
I don't think I really need to show you more of the video itself. You get the idea of exactly how this goes for the rest of the 30 minutes of it. It's just a really baffling decision to post this in the first place, and it's something he recognized pretty quickly when he saw the responses coming in, the Yelp reviews. So here's his community post addressing it. Earlier tonight I uploaded a video apologizing for what I've done, but it's become clear after hearing from several people that I am not in a healthy frame of mind to be posting anything online. I only returned home from the hospital yesterday, so I should have never filmed it. I've deleted the video, but I'm sure it has been downloaded and will be shared by others online. I promise to apologize properly and in detail when I'm more mentally stable. Until then, please know that I am sorry. He understands that this wasn't a good idea, but insists that he is sorry and will return at a later date to make a better apology video. And I have to say, that doesn't seem like a good idea. Like, I don't understand why he's even going to bother trying. There is really nothing that's going to improve for his online career through an apology. His audience isn't going to stick around through it. They were there for his content, and his content was stolen. It was all plagiarized. Like, there's no reason for them to stay, and it's not something he can just move on for and keep pumping out bangers, because no one's going to believe that it's original work or anything that he himself created. So there's nothing he can possibly gain from even making an apology. He should just do something else that's not being a YouTuber, or find a completely different niche on YouTube to try and make it big in. Like, there's just nothing he can really do for the James Somerton brand here. So I don't know why he's going to try and make another apology video later. It just seems kind of silly to even bother. He doesn't have anything that proves him innocent from the claims. He really was kind of, you know, caught pants around the ankle here. It's kind of kaput. Like, it is clear he plagiarized a lot of things, and there's a lot of other accusations on top of that as well from the way he conducted himself and some of the content, like in some of the things he said. And there's really not a whole lot he can do to come back from that and make this big triumphant comeback with an absolute fucking banger apology. That's just not going to happen. So why even do it? Just go do something else, man. Just move on from it. So yeah, I just wanted to cover this a little bit, just because it's one more bad apology in 2023. I figured might as well complete the year the only way we know how, with bad YouTuber apologies. Yeehaw. That's about it. So yeah. It's impossible to say what the worst feeling in the world might be. I think most people would default to answering that with something painful, like getting hit with a sledgehammer, getting shot. Childbirth is usually towards the top of that tier list for how painful it is. Maybe watching Rebel Moon Part 2 for how abominable it is. But I actually think there's a right answer to what the worst feeling in the world is. And it's being dead. And a YouTube channel called Watcher would agree with my analysis, because they experienced death for about 3 days when they released their Goodbye YouTube video, where they announced that they were leaving the platform in order to have their own subscription-based third-party platform for their content going forward. And people didn't like that. They got spit on more than a mic at a beatboxing competition, and now they're backpedaling. They've released an apology, and they've announced that they've made a mistake, they've apologized, and they've talked about their plan going forward now. I'll bring you up to speed on the lore in case you're unfamiliar with this story, but this is a massive YouTube channel. They are a beloved group where they made this absolute wet fart of an announcement where it was saying that they were going to be producing all of their content going forward behind a paywall on their own platform for $6 a month. So all of the content that their fans were used to getting on YouTube for free is now locked behind a $6 a month subscription fee. They said they continue to drop premieres on YouTube, but the rest of the season, well, that would cost you some clams to access. Obviously, this ruffled everyone's feathers, especially considering they already have a Patreon where people were signing up for monthly membership fees of $5, $10, or $25 a month, and this was an additional service on top of that for a monthly subscription, so it was just a disaster. And they lost close to like 100,000 subs over the course of 3 days. It wasn't quite 100K, but it was a lot. And now, today, they've released this.
Hey everyone, last Friday we announced that we're leaving YouTube and launching our new streaming platform.
We messed up. A lot of you spoke out with extremely valid comments and concerns, and we want to take the time now to address those.
We've been reading the things you've been saying, and we're sorry for the way we handled this, as well as the way we communicated it.
Right up front, it succeeds where a lot of other YouTuber apologies fail. They say they fucked up, and they say the golden word, I'm sorry. They make an apology right off rip. So it's a pretty good start to this one, all things considered.
We understand where you're coming from, and we're making immediate changes.
First, we want to affirm that you are the reason why we've been able to do anything at this company. You helped us every step of the way when we left BuzzFeed to start Watcher at the top of the pandemic in 2020.
You've supported us in so many ways by watching our content, attending our live shows, buying our merch, becoming members of our Patreon, and giving words of encouragement over the years.
This is another super strong moment here because it's tugging on the audience's heartstrings. It's very much buttering them up in a positive way. I'm not saying that as a negative thing. It's clear that they recognize the significance of having that audience. The whole content creation shit online doesn't work if no one's watching it. I mean, I guess if you had like an army of bots that view it, like you're a kick streamer or something, then maybe you can make an argument that it'd be sustainable even if you don't have a single human being watching. But clearly they understand that you need a passionate audience in order to survive in the online cyberspace Thunderdome. Now, there is something I want to mention here, though. He briefly mentioned some of the ways the audience has supported them over the years, such as buying the merch, attending the live shows, subscribing to the Patreon for the monthly fee, and encouraging words. 3 out of 4 of those are huge revenue drivers. The kind words, not so much. You can't really make a whole lot of money. You can't convert nice comments to USD. There's no direct conversion there for that. I mean, unless you're making Hallmark cards, perhaps. But those other 3, attending live shows, subscribing to the Patreon, and also buying the merch. And there is a 4th one there as well, which is just by watching the videos, you are directly financially supporting them because AdSense through YouTube monetization, as well as the brand partners that have paid to be on their content. So they're already heavily monetized content, and I didn't even think about the live shows the first time I watched their video. That's a huge part of some teams' bottom lines because they bring in so much money. It's like one of the main revenue drivers for bands in particular with concerts and buying tickets to it. So they have a lot of revenue sources already for their brand. So then immediately after hearing that in this video, I was like, so then why did you want to do Watcher TV for $6 a month? You have all of these other streams that the audience has been supporting for so long. why would you want to have another one to milk those titties dry? Like, it just doesn't seem right. It seems greedy. Now, they do shine some light on the motive behind doing this, the reason behind the Watcher TV idea in the first place. So we'll get to that pretty soon.
And we are incredibly grateful for your support.
We're sorry for how we originally delivered our goodbye message to YouTube. It was insensitive. We didn't properly express how much we appreciate all of you. And we did a really bad job of explaining the reasoning behind this transition.
We also want to deeply apologize for our ignorance around the impact of the cost. We regret stating and implying that it's a price that anybody can afford, and we fully acknowledge that it is not. We didn't take the proper consideration for how this cost would affect you, and hope you know that we are taking this as a serious learning experience.
It seems like they really did listen to pretty much all the feedback. They're hitting all of the main points, both in their delivery as well as the actual idea behind this venture. So it's nice that they're up here taking the accountability and saying, yeah, these are things that we really just didn't even think about. I'm sorry, we fucked it up. Like, that is something that you don't see very often, so it's nice to see them just take it on the chin here.
With that in mind, we're making some changes to ensure that there's a way for our community to continue watching our content for free.
If you want to watch our shows early and ad-free, you can catch them on the Watcher platform a month earlier. After that, you'll be able to watch our shows on YouTube for free. For those that have already subscribed to the platform, we are so grateful for your support. But if this change has you rethinking your membership, we will issue a full refund. And all past episodes and series will remain available on YouTube.
That's a pretty solid change overall. That is something you see for a lot of Patreons for YouTubers, or third-party offerings if it's not Patreon. So it does make sense that they do this here. I am surprised that that's not something they were already offering on Patreon with early access. That's one of the more standard ones. But I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If there's people that are just hungry, starved for more Watcher content, they can subscribe for $6 a month on that platform, and they get that content fed to them a month early. And those that don't want to or can't afford to can just wait for it to premiere on YouTube for free, as it has always done in the past for the content that they've come to know and love. That gets 2 thumbs way up from me for the back of the DVD box on that change. I think that's completely fine. Everyone wins there. If you really want the content early, you subscribe to the early access membership for Watcher TV. And if you just want to get the content that you already know you like, you just wait for it to come up on YouTube, and it's no different for you. So I think that is a totally fair compromise.
As for the question of why we decided to launch our own platform, when we started Watcher in 2020, we wanted to create shows that we were proud of, that we had ownership over, and that would provide you the caliber of content that we felt you deserved. However, we were finding it harder and harder to stay relevant to advertisers and the constantly changing YouTube landscape.
This is where my eyebrow raised a bit, so I decided to look into their content just briefly. I didn't do like a full deep dive here, but of their last 20 videos, 12 of them have brands on them. I'm excluding their Goodbye YouTube video, but also there's one more in that batch of 20 that I think doesn't really count, and it's a teaser trailer for the mystery files that they did, so it was just a very short trailer. But 12 out of 19 full videos have sponsors in them. As I mentioned in the last video, I own an agency that manages a lot of major YouTube channels of this size and bigger. So I know what a lot of those deals look like, and I know that those deals are super lucrative. And at their size, those are significant numbers that we're looking at. Over half of their videos of the last 20 are brand partnered. It doesn't seem like they were really struggling to get brands on their content, so I don't exactly know what he means by staying relevant to brands, especially because in this industry, brands focus mainly on your cold, hard Carfax, your metrics, your numbers, and they pull in great viewership numbers as well as a very engaged community. So brands must have hearts in their eyes anytime they get the chance to work with Watcher, just because their numbers are so good. But on top of that, they actually produce some of the most brand-friendly content imaginable. This is the type of shit brands salivate over. It's long-form, highly produced content, and the creators actually do skits for the ads, at least in all the ones I've seen. They do like a fully produced brand piece in this content. So the audience actually enjoys watching these ads. That is a match made in heaven for sponsors. So I was very confused on what he meant by staying relevant to brands. And then the second thing about, staying relevant in like the ever-changing YouTube ecosystem, that's a totally understandable one. I get that. The YouTube ecosystem is 100% like this boogeyman that no one fully understands. But it doesn't really make sense to me. We found it harder and harder to compete in the ever-changing YouTube landscape, so we abandoned it. We waved the white flag and said we're defeated, so we created our own platform with blackjack and hookers. That's a Futurama reference. I'm not saying that's what Watcher TV is. But the point is, why would you go from this is a lot going on YouTube and it's changing to, all right, guess we got to leave it now and then charge people for access? That just doesn't really compute to me, because you kill your brand, obviously, which I think they've recognized now from all the feedback. It's very hard to get people to subscribe to $6 a month content on a third-party platform they don't know, as opposed to just showing them some free YouTube videos. You built your brand very successfully on YouTube, and you are still only growing from everything I can tell. So why would you abandon it at the height of your growth, right? Like that, I don't know, that reason doesn't really make a ton of sense to me, but I understand being like afraid about, you know, long-term sustainability with how frequently YouTube is changing. I do get that, but I feel like the natural progression there would be like, okay, so how can we stay competitive on YouTube, as opposed to, okay, how the fuck can we get out of here?
We faced some incredibly challenging decisions. We didn't want to compromise our content to ensure they met advertising requirements. And we definitely did not want to lay people off that have brought Watcher to life behind the scenes. And we didn't want to bring Watcher to a close, which would have happened if we stayed solely on YouTube.
That's why we decided to launch the platform, so that we as a company could continue, we could pay our staff fairly, and not only continue to make great content for you, but expand with new shows, new voices, all ad-free. And now with the addition of accessible options, this is a decision that we all believe is the best for Watcher.
All those reasons he lists are perfectly reasonable. You don't want to lay off your staff, great. You want to pay them fair, great. Like all of these, they check mark the boxes of good shit. I support that. But I don't understand why your only option was to leave YouTube and charge $6 a month to your audience that's already paying for more merch, live shows, and Patreon. At least a large number of them are. They have over 13.4 thousand Patreon members right now. From all of this controversy, their Patreon has actually flourished more than it ever has, from what I can see. So why would you want to take even more money out of their piggy banks here? The strategy would be to keep growing on YouTube so you can continue to monetize, you can charge higher rates to the brands that you work with, that I imagine you will continue to work with. And also, more views means more AdSense money. And like I said, this channel is so advertiser friendly. It's exactly what brands and YouTube themselves want, long form, high quality content. Their RPM is probably super fucking high. So the more they would grow on YouTube, the more money they would stand to make. They would easily be able to expand, I would think, without charging $6 a month for their initial idea of paywalling the content that they were used to giving for free. I do like their new model of pay $6 a month for early access, but I still do find it unnecessary. I feel like the only reason that's there is because they can't fully walk back that now. They can't just get rid of that because people have already paid for it, so they need to offer something to those people that have already signed up. But I don't think it's a necessary thing for the survival of their brand. I really don't. Like I said, I know what these brands pay to be on the content. So just their sponsorships, I know they're bringing in 6 figures from these sponsorships. Easy. Easy. And their Patreon, you can start crunching the numbers. 13.4 thousand Patreons at $5 minimum, up to $25. Like, come on. That's a lot per month. Plus their merch. Their merch is pretty pricey, and people are clearly buying their merch. It seems to sell out quite a bit. That's a lot too. Live show tickets, when those come around, that's a pretty big influx. Their AdSense popping off. Like, they have so many revenue streams, I don't know how they can possibly be at this point where they need to find more ways of taking money from their audience in order to survive. That just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, unless there's some really odd mismanagement going on behind the scenes here. The videos they make aren't cheap, but I am confident that they're not costing them $500,000 per video, or something outlandish like that. I know that's not the case. So how can you possibly be at this point where we had to find a new subscription for people to pay for in order to keep Watcher alive? I just don't get that.
However, we realized that in figuring out the logistics of what this might take, we overlooked the way it would impact all of you. We hope you'll be patient with us through these mistakes, and we remain incredibly sorry that they were made in the first place.
We also want to directly address our Patreon community, who have played such a key role in supporting us from the very beginning. All current Patreon members will receive a free subscription code to the platform. If you already purchased a subscription, please contact us and we will issue you a full refund.
We look forward to continuing to make shows and introducing all the incredible things that we've got planned for the platform alongside YouTube. And in the meantime, we are forever grateful to all of the people who make up our community. And we hope that you consider joining us in this next chapter of our journey, whether that's on YouTube or on the platform.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Overall, this is a good apology video, I feel. They say I'm sorry multiple times, they admit their faults, they try and explain why things were the way that they are, and how they missed the mark. Like, they take a lot of it and seem to understand it from a place of genuine authenticity, which is great. I still, however, don't understand why it reached that point to begin with. I don't see how a channel of their size and their success with all of the revenue streams that they currently offer could possibly be struggling financially. I really don't understand. I don't. Like, knowing what I know about this space, I just don't see how they could be needing to take even more money from their audience to survive. I do think they made a good change with what they're offering for $6 a month. I personally don't think that it's necessary at all, though, especially because the way they frame it in this video makes it sound like that's the only way the watcher survives, is if they find a way to monetize even more off the backs of their viewers. So that's why the $6 a month there is being charged, because it helps keep them afloat. I don't know how they could possibly, with all of these revenue streams, be struggling to the degree that they make it seem like they are. But whatever, that's neither here nor there, I suppose. This announcement was very positively received by their audience, and that's the most important thing for the health of their channel and their brand, is that their audience feels satisfied with this update. And from what I can tell, they do. A lot of them do still state that there's been a breach of their trust here with what they tried, but it seems like they're forgiving and willing to see how things play out for this group in the future. So I guess we'll see what the watcher does down the line. That's really about it. See ya. I've got good news and bad news, and I don't care which one you want first because I've already made the decision for you. I know the optimal order is always good before the bad. So big group hug in the shower tonight. Let's hold hands and enter the smile zone together. One of the most annoying and degenerate pranksters the internet has spawned in recent memory has just been sentenced to 18 weeks in jail. His name is Mizzy, and for about a month he rose to internet infamy by doing some outrageously awful pranks. Basically, he'd just commit crimes and laugh about them while filming it, or he'd just make everyone's lives around him miserable. Just this plague of agony that swept through his local community to make everything a bit worse. I won't go through his entire resume of cringe, I'll just go ahead and give you some of his most embarrassing garbage, although in his eyes this is his magnum opus, these are his greatest hits. So the big one that made him pop off online is when him and his friends would walk into random people's houses to just frighten them, literally just kind of breaking and entering. Then there was this one where he stole a woman's dog at the park and ran away with the dog. And then of course, who could forget the timeless classics, his iconic series here, where he would go up to strangers and ask them if they want to die. Him and his equally pathetic friends would occasionally put on ski masks and run up on strangers, ambushing them, trying to block their way, asking them if they want to die over and over again. So overall, pretty high quality, harmless, gut-busting comedy here from one of the most brain-rotted, clout-poisoned, delusional, attention-starved worms TikTok has ever seen. Mizzy was able to get his name out there for about a month with a lot of people dunking on him, clowning on him, roasting him. He didn't really have fans except for like maybe 7 or 8 year olds that just liked the idea of being disruptive. But outside of that, it was everyone collectively just spitting on him. And then he landed an interview on a major television network where he made an absolute fucking fool of himself, and pretty much overnight, like a fart into the wind, his online presence vanished. Well, kind of. Everyone figured out the garlic to this vampire. The one weakness every clout-obsessed turbo loser has. Being ignored. Not getting attention. Collectively, most people just stopped paying attention to Mizzy altogether. He was just this little nuisance that would buzz around occasionally, pester people, and they just kind of disregard it. No one was talking about him anymore. It took away all of his power, like Voldemort's name. Like, no one cared anymore about how many times Mizzy would do something that would get himself arrested. They'd just be like, oh, okay, moving on. It's like pee into a public pool. You expect it, and it's gross, sure, but at the end of the day, out of sight, out of mind, you move on pretty quickly. So Mizzy stopped getting attention, and after this month of infamy, everyone forgot about him. But you know who didn't? The law. You see, Mizzy this entire time has still been striving to reclaim that former glory, which is so pathetic that he considers it success when really it's anything but. What he believes is his career would be anyone else's unimaginable shame. He lives in such a distorted reality that he believes everyone shitting on him is a good thing. For him, people just knowing his name is a W. That's a big fucking victory royale right there. Whereas the only reason people know his name is because everyone dislikes him. Like, his whole presence, his whole existence is to be disliked by people, and he is proud of it. That is a nightmarish way of living in this fucking world. I can't believe it, but that's whatever. It's his life, I suppose. If he wants to ruin it, by all means. So anyway, that brings us to today, where he has now been sentenced to 18 weeks in jail. He went to trial last month where he was found guilty on 2 charges of breaching a court order. And this court order is actually the most lenient shit imaginable. Basically, it asked him to stop filming people without their consent and posting it online. But this guy is an addict. Like, he can't stop scratching at his fucking neck to violate people's privacy, harass them, and then post it online for his content. He just has this inability to stop himself from being an insufferable asshole. This was the easiest court order ever issued. It was basically a don't be a douchebag order, and he failed. So now he's got 18 weeks detention in a young offender institution, and the judge told him, put bluntly, your pranks are not funny. Which I think is a beautiful thing to say from the judge. Just scathing right to his face, cutting right to the core. Just like, hey, listen, just to be honest, you suck. Like, I need you to understand me here. You're trash. Like, you are actual ass. Your pranks are horrible. I don't know how you sleep at night. You're bad. Like, I think that is just so beautiful in how frank he is with that. So then he said that the 19-year-old's pranks were motivated by a desire to be famous and to receive money and designer clothes from sponsors, which is something Mizzy himself said, which is pathetic, truly just sad. And then the judge continues, your actions caused innocent members of the public significant harm and distress. You claimed on national television the law was weak, and now 18 weeks in the slammer for it all. I will say, I wish they had went a little bit harder here. This is someone who has shown no remorse over any of this, and after he gets out, I have no doubt he's going right back to this behavior. I have no doubt in my mind whatsoever. I even made a video 5 months ago going over just how little he gives a fuck about any punishment that might come his way. He's not going to let it stop him from just being a complete douchebag loser. So even though he'll spend 18 weeks in this detention facility, he's not going to stop this. This is all he seems to want to do with his life, is make everyone else's life more miserable and film it. So I don't think anything's going to change in the time that he'll spend away from society. I think he will come back and be just as annoying and degenerate as ever. That's my bold prediction on it, but no matter what, it is still good news, though, that he is finally receiving some kind of actual consequences for these actions. I think that is good news. That's something to make you smile. Now I'd like to give you some bad news. Colleen Ballinger is back. Colleen Ballinger made another apology video. This time, there's no music to it.
Hello, everybody. Sorry I've been gone for so long. I've really missed this. I've missed talking to everyone every single day. Obviously, the last video that I posted on here, it's really embarrassing, to say the least. I was being accused of some pretty awful things, and I just was mad, and I should have handled that situation with maturity and empathy, but instead I just let my ego take over, and I'm really disappointed in myself.
Now, it's been quite a few months since this whole thing happened. Colleen Ballinger, Miranda Sings, was accused of communicating very inappropriately with underage fans, talking about some really weird stuff with them, a lot of very not good things going on in some group chats with them. I'm not just going to go over the entire situation. I covered it back then. Tons of people did. But what ended up happening is, after all of these accusations came to light, she responded with a ukulele musical number that I think she was striving for a Grammy, which unfortunately she wasn't nominated for. She made a song, a real song to make you wiggle your finger to, called The Toxic Gossip Train, where she didn't address anything really, or like disprove any of the claims or defend herself. She just made a song. So this is now quite a few months later. She's now coming out and saying that that whole thing was embarrassing and that, you know, she regrets the way she handled it, should have handled it with maturity. But I'm gonna say, you should never regret writing The Toxic Gossip Train. That song took the Billboard charts by storm. You made a bop. Like, what you should be apologizing for is what you've actually been accused of, and then actually maybe try and talk about that instead, as opposed to your ukulele song. Like, that's not the big problem here. That's not the huge stain that needs to be addressed. Yeah, the ukulele song was a bafflingly cringe decision to do that, but the real thing here, the actual meat, is about all the accusations with the way that you've communicated with minors over the years, and the group chats and like the sexual conversations you had with them about really awful and very weird things. That's what you need to actually talk about.
Over the last 15 years of my career, there have been moments where I was immature and inappropriate with some of my comedy, and there were times when I did not put enough thought into some of my fan interactions, and because of that behavior, people got hurt, and I am so sorry. I never wanted to hurt anybody, but it's clear that I did, and I feel so terrible about that. I also feel like there's probably people who are disappointed or feel abandoned by me because of my silence over the last few months, and I'm so sorry about that as well.
And this is just missing the mark, in my opinion. You're just giving a very vague response to a very specific set of awful allegations. By just delivering this blanketed, I went too far with my comedy, made some mistakes, hurt people, I'm sorry, you're not really doing anything besides just trying to move on from this as quickly as possible and hope that the bare minimum here is enough for an audience to stick with you. After she posted this fall vlog, she's now posted an additional, I think, 3 or 4 videos since now. She's doing daily posting again. So to me, this all just seems like, I'll just reluctantly say I'm sorry. Hopefully an audience will stick around for a little bit, and I'm just going to start bombarding them with a ton of content to flood the rest of this out so that way people can just forget about it. That to me is what this comes across as. The accusations that have been made against her, as well as a lot of the things that have been brought to the public eye, are pretty awful. Like, it's not something that you can just, like, you know, wipe away with a statement like, it was just comedy that went too far and it was a mistake. Because, like, it doesn't seem like there was anything comedic about it, or even, like, supposed to be comedic about some of the things that have come out. It's just, like, pretty deplorable. Like, I feel like it warrants more of a direct tackling of what has been discussed and talked about. You know, like, just a more thorough explanation, I think, is warranted for the victims that have been affected by what you've done. This just seems very, like, I don't know the right word, but it seems very disingenuous and sincere, perhaps, where it's just trying to do as little as possible so you can continue to try and have your Colleen Vlogs channel do daily content and have an audience.
So I'm going to do everything that I can to make sure that I create a positive, kind, inclusive, safe space online with my content. And if you want to be a part of my journey online, I would love to have you, and if not, I completely understand. I do not expect anyone to welcome me back with open arms. I don't expect to change anyone's mind with this video. I just wanted to come on here and say that I'm sorry, and I wanted to try to show people that it's possible for someone to grow and learn and be better after making mistakes many, many years ago. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to vlog again, and today I'm just going to...
I cut out a little section in the middle there where she was talking about how, first and foremost, she's a mother, and she was explaining why she hasn't spoken on this sooner, and also that she's been trying to listen and learn from everything with what everyone's been saying. And then eventually it leads to this, where she talks about how She doesn't expect to change anyone's mind, but she hopes that she can try and prove that you can make up for past mistakes, and her path forward is vlogging. So then she transitions this apology into a vlog, which I think is a really weird decision to make. I don't know why you wouldn't make this 2 videos. I mean, maybe because the apologies is only like 3 minutes long and it's not specific, and it still doesn't even directly talk about any of the accusations. It just tiptoes around all of it. It really feels like the apology is more of like an avoidance thing, where she can just loosely talk around the subject and say that she's sorry for it without ever needing to explain herself or what happened or her actions or intentions or anything behind all of it. So it really seems like the intention was get the I'm sorries out and hope the audience is receptive to it and will stick around to watch the vlogs. And her gamble paid off. She was right. She knew her audience. If you read the comments, it's nothing but overwhelming support for her, and the views on her vlogs are great. So yeah, I'm still a bit stunned by the comments here. A lot of them are saying, this is what you should have said to begin with. We forgive you now. Now we understand. It's all good. What the fuck? She still didn't say anything. Like, did you even watch the video? She still said nothing. It's like, the second she said, I'm sorry, everything else went out the window as if it never even existed. She has still not even said anything about any of the actual accusations or anything about it. She just loosely said, ooh, those jokes didn't land. Bit of a mistake, and I know people got hurt. Sorry. But yeah, I mean, I guess she doesn't need to. She will, I suppose, continue to do just fine here without ever actually talking about all of these things. I really don't think you can just write off a lot of what's come out about the way she behaved around minors as just her being a quirky, zany jokester. Like, there's really no way of looking at it in any way that isn't weird. But whatever, I guess. Her audience has moved past it and forgiven her, so she's back to daily vlogging and will probably continue to do just fine. So yeah, I just wanted to give a little update here on some good and some bad news. That's really about it. So yeah.